Welcome everybody that's joining. We're going to get started here in just another minute, allow some other folks to trickle in here, but a very warm welcome. Thank you for joining our Fireside Chat. If you're new, we're going to let you know kind of what this series is all about in just a minute. And for those joining us from the previous sessions, welcome back. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everybody for joining this edition of the FedTech Fireside Chat. This one's sponsored by our partners at Blue Knight. So today we're talking all about how to tap into the BARDA innovation ecosystem. And we're really lucky to be joined by three founders that are at various stages of growth currently in the health tech space. But the common thread amongst them all is that they've been through the hoops and hurdles to grow their own businesses in health tech, and that relates to deep tech in this community. And then also they're going to share about how they leverage the BARDA ecosystem. So we're really excited to hear from them today. For those of you that haven't joined our FedTech Fireside Chats before, these are about monthly sessions where we try to get our community together, really focused on entrepreneur journeys. So that's why we're excited for you to hear directly from other founders that have been there before, in the hopes of expanding our community, sharing lessons learned, and hearing similar stories that might resonate with you. As we know, our audience are folks that are in the ecosystem, that are looking to develop their own companies, or are aspiring entrepreneurs looking to take the leap. So a little bit about me, since I am emceeing for the first time in the Firesides, but some of you may know me. I'm a director here at FedTech. My name is Robin Brazil. I'm very happy to talk to these founders today. What we do, if you're not familiar, we're a venture builder. We're based in Arlington, Virginia, but we do programs across the nation in various technology verticals, but really focusing on deep tech and how we can catalyze and support the commercialization of deep tech ventures across different federal agencies. So again, we're really lucky to have such a broad community, and thank you for everybody joining today. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it and get a chance to meet the three founders that are joining us today. So we're going to meet our guests, and then we're going to have an open panel session with the three founders that are joining us today. Again, they are from different health tech startups, and they'll tell you a little bit about their journeys. And then we're going to open it up. So for those of you that haven't been in a Zoom webinar before as audience members, you should see at the bottom panel the Q&A function. You can go ahead and put any questions in throughout the session, and I'm going to reserve some time at the end to open it up to any of our audience Q&As after we have a discussion with our panelists. So there'll definitely be a chance for you to interact, and I will pull those questions out shortly after we dive into getting to know our panelists a little bit further. And then we have some more information about how you can get involved in the ecosystem. For example, with some of our FedTech programs, we allow aspiring and existing entrepreneurs to tap into our startup studios, and you're going to hear from three other accelerators and incubators that all have similar opportunities for you to take advantage of. So let's go ahead and meet the founders. So really lucky to be joined by these three, but to introduce each of them, we thought it would be great to invite representatives from programs that they have previously or are currently participating in, for you all to get a little bit more understanding of what exists out there in the ecosystem from these awesome programs. So first, I would love to invite Jackie to introduce Wendy Slone from bTECH.
All right, thank you so much for that intro, Robin. Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Mejia, and I'm the director of the GB2 MedTech program. It's a generator accelerator for early stage startups in the healthcare and biotech space. And we are proudly part of the BARDA DRIVe Accelerator Network, as some of my other colleagues here on the call today. Excuse me. It's really my pleasure to introduce Wendy Slone. She's the founder and CEO of bTECH. Wendy participated in our fall 2021 GB2 MedTech program for Black founders, and I really had an amazing time working with her. bTECH is miniaturizing light therapy into a tiny patch that promotes rapid tissue healing and strengthening. It is not every day that you meet a founder that is so passionate about what they're doing that they decide to do a second PhD. So Wendy is really an awesome founder, and I'm glad you will get to know her a little bit better today. She has a powerful story and is putting all of her effort into taking bTECH's technology to market, and I'm excited to see what she has to say. And just one last plug for the program that I run. We're actually currently recruiting for our next program, which will take place in the spring of 2020. And the deadline to apply is tomorrow. So if you would like to participate in this program, please feel free to submit an application. They are due tomorrow at night, so you have all day tomorrow to submit, and email me if you have any questions. But thank you so much.
Thanks, Jackie. Wendy, I'm very excited to talk more here. Let's introduce the other panelists. First, I would like to invite Rachel from Blue Knight to introduce Gautam.
Thank you, Robin. It's my pleasure to introduce Gautam Shetty today. Gautam is the founder and CEO of Congruence Medical Solutions. After a fantastic career in drug delivery technology, including time at BD, he went on to found his own company that is developing novel drug delivery technologies, and he'll share more about those technologies and his story with you today. Congruence Medical Solutions is part of the Blue Knight portfolio. They're a resident at J Labs at Washington, D.C., and Blue Knight is a public-private partnership between Johnson & Johnson Innovation J Labs and BARDA. It leverages the J Labs incubator model for companies that are mutually aligned to areas of interest for Johnson & Johnson and BARDA, and we are very pleased to have Congruence as part of that portfolio in Washington, D.C. Looking forward to the conversation today.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And last, I would love to invite Brennan from M2D2 to introduce Sathya.
Yes, thank you, FedTech, for having us here today and highlighting some of our amazing founders. My name is Brennan Fournier, and I'm the Impact Program Manager for UMass M2D2. M2D2 is a medical device and biotech incubator located in Massachusetts. We're a joint initiative between UMass Lowell and UMass Medical, a Johnson & Johnson's Innovation J Labs affiliate site here for the US Northeast region, and no affiliation with UMass is required to take part in our program. And really our goal is to provide coordinated access to some of the world-class resources available to innovators here in the Commonwealth and help take their solutions to more advanced stages. And one of the programs that allows us to do this is Impact, which is our brand new accelerator, and it's funded through the Economic Development Administration Sprint Challenge, and will run for 6 cycles. We're currently in cycle 2 with BARDA, who we're partnered with through their DRIVe network. And for Impact, we induct up to 10 startups to participate in the program. And through this program, we connect them to various resources here in the Boston innovation ecosystem to help get their concept closer to market. And through the program, they're also matched with a world's renowned mentor who they work one-on-one with to help them achieve their milestones that they're looking to accomplish. Both bTECH and Aidar are part of our health security cohort, and it's been really great to see Aidar take part in this program as we've worked with them throughout the years on some of our other flagship programs, one of them being our annual 200K challenge, where Aidar was selected as a finalist in 2020 and received an award from us, as well as our legal partner, Mints. They've also recently received an EZ-BAA award for their mouth lab device, which is a multi-sensor-based machine learning technology for real-time automated detection of COVID-19 decompensation. So we've been so delighted to work with them throughout this program and aid them in achieving their commercialization goals. So it's a pleasure to be here today and introduce everyone to Sathya Elumalai from Aidar Health.
Thanks, Brennan. And a very warm welcome now to all 3 of our founders. I'm going to invite you all up to the virtual stage, and we'll spotlight each of you so that the audience can see all 3 of our founders now, so we can have an open conversation. So we heard a little bit from the introductions, kind of what you're doing now and a little bit about your startups, but let's rewind a little bit. I would love kind of to hear from each of you a few minutes, and starting with you, Wendy, just tell us a little bit bit about your journey, kind of what brought you to, in your instance, coming up with the problem and the idea to start bTECH, and then just kind of fast forward and how that brought you to where you are right now. Would love to just hear a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Robin. I appreciate it. And thank you, Jackie, for the great introduction, and Brennan as well. I got started out of love. My mom was a diabetic, and I saw her struggle with diabetic foot ulcers. And out of that, I felt that there has to be something that I can do to develop something in this space. And that's how I developed the Halcyon Smart Patch. And it was born literally out of love for my mom. My mom has since died, but the love and the passion is still there as a testament to her life. And I'm so happy to be here today to bear fruit even after she's gone in a business that I hope will help others in their dealing with diabetic foot ulcers as well.
How long have you kind of been on this journey now for bTECH and developing the product?
I came up with the ideal in 2016, but it's really been about the past 3 years that I've been on the journey of developing the device itself, developing a business around the device, and getting to where I am now.
Great, thanks, Wendy. Sathya, I saw you come off on mute. Tell us a little bit about your story.
I think similar to Wendy, I started this company to help my mom, and again, it's so coincidence that my mom also has started off with diabetes, and then she developed hypertension. I think every one of us, right, we just take it for granted when we think like, okay, diabetes, hypertension, these are not really complex conditions, right? So it really hit everyone hard when, especially for me, when my mom was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, which is a downstream impact of diabetes and hypertension, which is what led for us to build a technology, something that is simple to use, something that can measure or predict early signs of deterioration in patients with chronic conditions. So that's why we built this device. It's a small handheld device. The user holds a device, more like a breathalyzer, that measures your overall health in less than a minute. It's an FDA-approved technology, and today we are fortunate to have my mom use it, and fortunate to actually deploy this so that hundreds of patients and like my mom can use it, and hundreds of and millions of caregivers like me can actually sleep peacefully.
Thanks for that, Sathya. I wonder where you keep all the early prototypes to get to that.
I still have it. I'm going to show you guys.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we'll come back to that. We'll see kind of the process it took to get to that beautiful device. And Gautam, please share with us kind of what brought you to the space and where you are with Congruence.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity, Robin, and thank you, Rachel, for her kind introduction. Congruence Medical Solutions is on a journey to. We are a medical device company focused on addressing kind of unsolved needs in drug delivery. And what we've observed, the way the company was formed, is there are different areas where, because of inertia or technical drawbacks, we resulted in suboptimal drug delivery. And just as an illustrative example, for example, we had these pandemic vaccines. We estimate that at the point of injection, about somewhere north of 90 million doses were wasted in the United States alone. So if you can imagine countries where, or especially in Africa, where you have less than 10% vaccination rates yet, we could have vaccinated entire nations based on just the vaccines that were wasted in the United States, right? So there's these large unsolved problems, and we chose to focus on that. We started off focusing on one niche area, and I think I'll kind of share a little bit about the evolution of the company on kind of shortcomings in injecting microliter volume doses. The convention is use a milliliter large size injection device for a very small dose, and you can just imagine the problems there are. And then we kind of backed into the problem with the pandemic vaccines, where these small doses, amount of vaccine is wasted with every dose, but they add up very quickly to very large numbers. So Yeah, that's kind of a, we operate in a number of different areas right now, but we all focused on addressing unsolved problems in drug delivery.
Thanks, Gautam. So, kind of clearly seeing kind of where you all kind of like shifted the focus when COVID hit, but how long have kind of you been on this journey with Congruence Medical?
Yes, the company was incorporated in 2015. So we've been at this for 7 years now. Prior to Congruence, I was with Becton Dickinson and also with Unilife. So, starting the company, I had a little bit of background and kind of domain expertise in injectable drug delivery solutions. And we started off with devices for injections in the eye, but we've kind of grown since then, leading all the way to the most recent selection in Blue Knight for minimizing vaccine waste.
Great. So I think one thing that's kind of common with you all is that seeing very recent either a pivot or growth just in the past few years. And I know some of that is probably tied to the participation in some of the resources or organizations that you found kind of along the way. So since you all kind of are part of the BARDA ecosystem, I'd love to kind of hear, how did you first learn about different opportunities with BARDA, and what led you to choose or apply to the program that you're part of, or find the different opportunities like Sathya with EZ-BAA? I'd love to learn a little bit more. I'm sure audience does, about how you just became aware or found those opportunities. So maybe Sathya, we could start with you and how you've taken advantage of different opportunities. Oh, Sathya, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. For us as a small company, we're really looking for partners. We're looking for supporters, right, throughout the process. And when COVID hit, we started looking into a lot of different opportunities in which where we can deploy our solution. And one of the areas, like, for example, as Brennan mentioned, we were part of the M2D2 yearly competition, and we won some awards. Through that, we are already familiar with that. But when they partnered with BARDA, it was a better opportunity for us because at least we are the only company in the cohort, the current cohort, who actually received a contract from BARDA. So for us, it was a good opportunity to not only like get more exposure, get more support from the program, but also be a part of it and then help others who are interested to be to receive a grant from BARDA or receive a contract from BARDA at some point. So we took it as an opportunity to work with the M2D2 impact team. And one of the biggest advantage of the program is also getting connected to mentors who are experts in some area. So in fact, for us specifically, it helps us to find more sites for our clinical studies, and also talk to more experts within the ecosystem, like Boston ecosystem, as well as, their ecosystem is very broad. So we were able to find these opportunities through one of these BARDA Tech Watch meetings, and also through other accelerators that we were part of previously.
Thanks for that. And Wendy, what about you? I know you've been really kind of like seeking out and taking advantage of a few different resources.
Yeah, that's correct. I first became involved with BARDA through my participation in the GB2 MedTech for Black Founders. And it was a great experience. And through that, I met several members that are part of BARDA's DRIVe team. And so that was an amazing ability to learn more about BARDA. I subsequently filed an application to participate in the M2D2 Impact program as well, and got accepted into that. So that's another BARDA connection, that because they also sponsor that program. And then I became very interested in looking at what other opportunities BARDA sponsored and hosted. And what I was pleasantly surprised to see is that it's a coast-to-coast initiative. So it is not just one location. I'm located in Ohio. So need I say more? A lot of the opportunities are on the East Coast or on the West Coast or in the Midwest outside of Ohio. So it's very great that you can participate in BARDA programs and really be anywhere in this nation. And so for that, I love the coast to coast opportunities that BARDA provide, and the way that they see the entrepreneurial ecosystem as being, united across these United States. And so for that, I really enjoy my relationship with BARDA, and I intentionally look for other opportunities that are connected with BARDA because I find BARDA to be very, very supportive in their ecosystem, especially once you get connected into them. It's very, very you can navigate it very easily. The personnel is very, very supportive. So I got connected to the impact program through, saying to people at GB2, hey, I'm interested. And they say, oh, wait a minute, I know someone over there. And they made introductions, and I just had conversations just to inquire. And the openness and the willingness of these programs that BARDA supports is amazing for founders, particularly for Black and Brown founders like myself.
Thanks for that. And for everybody in the audience, we are going to invite Jackie, Brennan, and Rachel, representatives from these programs that you're hearing about, and the links that we put in there. So if you have any questions for them, we'll invite them back at the end. Similarly, you can go ahead and start putting your questions in the chat for any of the founders as we go about their companies, their journey, anything that we'll come to at the end. But one thing that, and Gautam, I'd love to also hear kind of how you found, because Blue Knight is a little bit of a different setup and process as well. And where are you located? Because I think Wendy brought up a good point that we're all distributed. I'm sitting here in Toronto, actually, and our networking community is everywhere across the nation as well. I think that's a cool point that it's connecting the dots across the country.
Yes, we are located in Baltimore, a little north of Washington, D.C., where at least the federal government is based out of. Yeah. So we happen to win, as Rachel kindly mentioned. We won one of the awards to be a resident at J Labs, part of Johnson & Johnson Innovation, in their new facility in Washington, D.C. So we are a resident there. And then I think in part of conversations as we were developing the solution, we were invited to, why don't we consider applying to Blue Knight, a program between a joint initiative between BARDA and J Labs. So it's kind of a 2-for-1, right? So we get, of course, BARDA, and then also a mentorship and support from Johnson & Johnson Innovation, J Labs. And it was a fairly, we were amazed how quickly we went from submitting our information to being selected into the program. And then once you're in the program, we have several opportunities where they really lift us and help elevate our offering, allowing and opening several doors for us. So we really appreciate and value being part of this program. Yeah.
Thanks for that for everybody. So now I want to dig into a little bit more about your technologies, kind of, if you can share kind of where you're at right now, and kind of tell us a little bit about that development process, some of those hurdles that you had to overcome, and for those kind of uniquely situated in the health tech or biotech space, knowing that there are some of those challenges along the way. So like Sathya going through kind of the FDA process, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey as you guys were evolving your technology into approved products in the market. So maybe Sathya, you could start, since you're still kind of at the earlier stages, but you've recently kind of gotten over that hurdle.
Yeah, I think for us, it's almost maybe a 10, 12-year journey. Like the first, as I said, the first version of the device was available in 2010, but then the company was really started in 2016. The biggest hurdle for us is like, hey, here is a technology that can actually measure your health rapidly, but then it's still looked at it as unthinkable or something like a magic, right? So the biggest hurdle that we had was going through that validation, ensuring that it is actually an FDA cleared device. So it took almost 7 years for us to go from a product stage to all the way to getting our validations. So last year, we received our FDA clearance for the device. We received our CE mark approval for the Europe We also received ISO certifications, MDSAP or Medical Device Single Audit Program certification, and is also the HIPAA compliance and GDPR compliance. So we kind of de-risked everything, but really when BARDA came, the contract was actually like a huge opportunity for us. They trusted a company at our stage, which was actually catapulted us or like accelerated a lot of our efforts. We were able to get through our manufacturing. We were able to build like at least 1,000 devices. We were able to go through the rigorous testing process and also deployment. So for us, it was now we are at a point where we are actually raising money to actually commercialize this technology in addition to our BARDA related clinical study, which we are doing right now with COVID patients, essentially building a solution to predict decompensation among COVID patients, and also seeing what is the long-term impact of COVID on cardiovascular and pulmonary health.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So a 10+ year journey kind of to get to where you are right now. I definitely want to have a few more questions there, but would love to hear Wendy and Gautam, any similar kind of how you've migrated, where you are right now, if you are already, the products hit the market or you are evolving new offerings, kind of where you are right now.
Well, I'll go next if that's okay.
Sure.
Where we are right now, we're still we're early in the stage that we have a prototype and we've done some preliminary animal testing. So we know that we can fabricate our device. We know that we can get epithelialization, which is what we're after. Where we're at right now is raising funds to build our clinical prototype to be first in man. And we're really excited about the relationship with BARDA and all of the connections that come with that to help, help us navigate what that looks like. So we're working through our regulatory strategy, working through our reimbursement strategy, being connected with other businesses that have already been there and are like B2B mentoring us is really great. And that's one of the benefits of the relationship and participating in programs that are sponsored by BARDA. So I love it that they, a business is not too early for them in order for them to take them on. And that's great for a company like mine. It can take you years with a growth business to build it to the place where it can hit the market. But having support in the form of a BARDA and all of their ecosystem really makes the difference. And it does help to expedite your ability to bring your products closer to commercialization. And so we're looking to continue to leverage that with our relationship with BARDA, and any other additional support we get from them is always welcomed.
Thanks, Wendy. What about you, Gautam?
Yeah, we kind of have a portfolio of medical devices because every device is customized for the application that's intended. But the device that we're working on to minimize vaccine waste, we hope to finish kind of pivotal user trials this year, hopefully in the next couple of months. And then I think that body of work will be completed. The way our device works, we are going to change a little bit about how an injection procedure is done. So change is difficult, as you can imagine, but change is also the burden of an entrepreneur. So I guess that's the burden we bear. And I'm sure my fellow panelists here who probably experience that. But we hope to be ready because we don't know when the next pandemic strikes or if, where this pandemic ends up, hopefully soon. But if there should be a situation where we have to extract every last drop out of a vial to be administered as an injectable countermeasure, we want to be ready for it.
Thanks for that. So knowing that, our audience are other similar entrepreneurs early in their journeys or aspiring entrepreneurs, is there something kind of early in your journey that you wish, looking back, you could have told yourself, back in 2015, 2016, when you guys were just getting started for Wendy, Gautam, or even Sathya, 10 plus years ago? What is something that you think could have avoided a lot of time? Because I feel like time is the most essential thing of a founder. So saving time and of course, finding resources, but would love to hear any any nuggets, wisdom, fun stories of celebrating kind of failure in that sense?
So I've unmuted first.
Yeah.
I would say, don't be afraid to look outside of your backyard. Have a global perspective on where you can get help at, because it may come from the most unlikely place that is the best place for you. So my ecosystem in my own state is great. I have got a great support network going with them, but expanding that is what really took me from what I would consider, if I looked at a continuum, 0 to 1 million overnight. And so, don't be afraid to apply for programs. Don't think you're too early. Don't think you need to have, XYZ lined up before you apply. And particularly, like a program with BARDA, some people can be intimidated. Oh, I need to be at a certain place, and I need to have, certain milestones. I need to, have certain connections, certain key opinion leaders. I need to have all of this in place. And I'm here to tell you now, apply. They're looking for you just like you're looking for them. And BARDA is a great place to find yourself at as a home. And you're never too early, you're never too small, and you will surprise yourself. And so the world is looking for the next greatest ideal. So apply.
That's definitely amazing. I just want to quickly piggyback on what Wendy was saying. So I think for us, it's the same thing. I would say, like, we had a lot of preconceived notions like that. We are not there yet. BARDA is not going to look at us. It's a federal agency. We had all these different like mindsets. But when we started working and when we engaged with BARDA, it was they became part of our team. It feels like we have another 10, 15 people who are actually helping us out, working with us, and they are actually funding us, right, in terms of the contract. So definitely where we are to where we are now, we really think we're fortunate, and it's because we attempted, like, and continue to apply. I mean, we got lucky the third time we applied to BARDA. For people who are actually working on medical technologies, right? My advice is just anything that needs FDA clearance, talk to the regulators super early in the process, because everybody's mindset is, oh, I need to build my final device, and then only I should go and talk to FDA or any other regulators. But that's not the case. And same like BARDA, they are also willing to support. I wish we gone in even earlier. Like, once we had the first prototype, I should have just gone to them. We took some time, but still, like, we were able to accelerate. We were fortunate to get a clearance like in less than 7 months, which is unheard of. So it's only because of communication. So I would say be positive about what you guys are doing. At the end of the day, we need supporters, and I feel like the federal agencies have been phenomenal, at least in our case.
Yeah, I maybe a brief comment on what Wendy mentioned, right? She mentioned the term ecosystem, and I think is very important. I guess in hindsight, if I could have told myself that, I would. Is we don't live on an island by ourselves. You need an ecosystem around you to kind of thrive and can nourish the company. And I think as entrepreneurs, especially those with technical backgrounds, you can be too focused on the technology and make it work, but you may not, understand that your technology has to play in an ecosystem around it. And I also mentioned earlier about, a change, we are trying to change the standard of care, right? That's what we're doing. We're trying to do something new. And then I think it's important to look for what I consider as change agents outside of your organizations that kind of help drive your company's mission and are aligned with the mission of trying to create change. So when I think about folks like Rachel from Blue Knight, even though she's not kind of part of my company, are kind of, we have an alignment of incentives, and in terms of our mission, we want to bring about that change. So it's important to rely on that ecosystem and find people who will help further the mission of your company.
Thanks for that. So a related question, as I hear you all are at various stages of kind of growth and what you're looking to do to kind of expand. When it comes to talent, you know, it's something we talk about a lot, the very, very early stage 2 to 3 person teams that we create through our programs and the studios. But even those that are solidly venture-backed, talent is something that comes up all the time. How are you finding the right business and technical talent? So would love to hear from each of you, you know, how big are your teams now? Anything that you have done to find, you know, the right technical or business talent, or what are you kind of looking to do as you grow? So would love to hear from each of you. Any thoughts on kind of growing your team?
I can jump in, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we are in this different time period, right, where we're seeing all these the great resignation and challenges recruiting the right talents. Definitely we are going through this cycle, and for us personally, we are 10 of us right now, but it's been challenging to get like added new members into our company, and we cannot just match up to some of the great benefits that are offered by like major companies, right? So we really go by our mission, like what is our mission, what is our big vision, where we can align that, and can we find people with the same mission of making a real difference in healthcare. So thankfully we are based in Baltimore, like Gautam, I don't know, it's nice to know he's around as well. We kind of tap into the local universities. For us, it's nice. We are just 2 blocks away from Johns Hopkins. So we work with the Johns Hopkins team and the University of Maryland and Loyola and other universities within this setting. We try LinkedIn and AngelList and a couple of other platforms. But I think in most cases, we've been fortunate that people had come in with an inbound request looking at what we are doing. So, which is where I think incubators can also add value, which is we are hoping to actually tap into even all the incubators network to see if we can hire more talents, which is what we are hopefully working towards next.
Thanks for that. What about you, Wendy, in Ohio? A different story? Are you guys having a distributed team? What are you guys thinking about?
Yeah, so we have 5 on our team right now, but I'm looking to grow at is, like, for instance, even with our advisory board, growing that area. And so I utilized the relationship with GB2 when we did MedTech in order to really be able to scout out great talent that could come on board, look at, you know, new champions. That's part of your ecosystem. You need champions as well as the talent. And those champions are the ones who really kind of help solidify your ecosystem around you with the guidance. So you can have the people that can do the work, but you also need that infrastructure built around it. So we use and leverage our partnerships with the accelerators that we've been in, incubators, as well as we did have affiliations with some universities, so student talent, so that we get a well-rounded body of individuals is what our goal is. So we like the mature, you know, scientists, as well as those who are, you know, fresh out of school and who are eager and want the experience. And so I like that dynamic and that diversity of that wealth knowledge that you can build from tapping into your entire environment and bringing people on board. So I like to leverage my networks is how I find talent. I'm not big on LinkedIn, but I do get hits on that, and that's great. So I use that as well, but I'm always asking people, so who do you know that might want to walk with us and come along on this journey with us? And so I like that kind of like word of mouth, personal touch.
Yeah, I think you'll find similar themes with what we do. I think we rely on, of course, experienced folks who are experienced in the space, because it's very specialized. So if you identify that there is a certain technical skills that necessary and experience, then I think you have to find that person. but I think that it's also possible for you to have someone who has the skills but not the experience, and give them the experience to do this. And I think, as Wendy mentioned, some of these students from universities, they have a lot of good skills but not the experience. So this experience allows them to kind of help build their resume, but also help advance your company's mission. We've also, a lot of the folks that we have here, I've personally had history of working with them in previous organizations. So I think that also is something that, helps kind of skill and talent that you need to get things moving along.
Well, thanks for that. So I'm going to start pulling a couple questions that we've had come through from our audience. And then in a couple of minutes, definitely want to invite. So for the audience, just know that we do have Brennan and Richard from N2D2, Rachel from Blue Knight, and Jackie from the GB2 MedTech program as well. So if you have any questions for them, please put it in chat and we'll invite them up here in just a minute too. But for our founders, some very specific questions. I think people are very curious about the BARDA opportunities. So when you were selected into your various programs, they want to know kind of, this is the staging question, right? Everybody wants to know, am I too early? Am I early enough? So were each of you pre-revenue and or pre-product before selection into your respective accelerator or incubator programs?
I think we were pre-revenue. We were starting to get some revenue through other programs, but we actually had a validated product, and we also had a few manufactured products that were ready to go, which was, I think it was an important thing, especially when it comes to deploying it immediately towards the pandemic, because we were running around trying to figure out solutions, right? So we were ready to go. So that was one of the early value that we were able to offer by having the product.
What about you, Wendy?
We were pre-revenue as well. We still are. And what I loved about the GB2 and also the Impact program, both sponsored by BARDA, is that they have vision, and they saw vision in us and saw the what we could be as a product and what we could bring to the market space. And so for that, it was great to be selected by programs that BARDA sponsored through GB2 and the Impact program.
Yeah, we have some sources of revenue at the time that we applied for the Blue Knight program, and I think we believe that that was part of the attraction. I think I think in terms of, we did not rely on what we were pitching to the Blue Knight program for the existence of a company, right? A company exists independent of that. This is just a program that I think we feel needs the support necessary. But yeah, I think the specific device that we were pitching was very, I mean, it's like a prototype, a pre-prototype stage kind of thing, where we had some lab data to show that it works. So hopefully that gives some idea of where the stage was of that device. We have other platforms that are much more mature. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And then I think I at least heard one of you mention the Tech Watch meeting was kind of part of the entry point. I think Sathya, maybe that was you, but if any of you kind of, how did that work? Were you invited to it? How was that meeting facilitated?
Yeah, definitely. We were invited to that, and it was very helpful to get a perspective. And it was also for us, like we attempted 3 or 4 times, and it's not like one opportunity. It's not like any other grants, right? It's a contract. So there's multiple opportunities to go back and really reapply. Just to piggyback on just to address some of the other questions, right? I think the previous question, I think the stage also depends on what kind of opportunity BARDA has, right? So for us, it was a commercial opportunity where you're putting it in and you need a solution immediately, versus some that are preparing for the future. So that's where all three of us stand in 3 different, I would say, commercial stage.
Thanks for that. I have another question, and then definitely want to invite Jackie, Rachel, and Brennan. A few questions for you too. For each of you, are there organizations that you are looking to partner with that could be beneficial for the growth of your technology at this stage?
Yeah, I think from our perspective, we're really looking to work with both pharmaceutical companies to actually build unique solutions or digital companion tools for specific conditions so that we can launch our device and technology platform together to help improve the value of the drugs or treatments, more like the Build Plus efforts. And we're also looking to partner with health systems right now to actually deploy our solution, not just for monitoring during this pandemic, but I think essentially using it for disease management, post-discharge, post-surgery management of patients. And ultimately, we hope to work with federal agencies to see if we can deploy this solution as a daily monitoring tool to most of the healthy individuals as well.
Yeah, from our perspective, just to answer differently, yeah, I think we mapped out, this device is of utility to which agencies. So we identified, of course, BARDA as a kind of procurement, pandemic preparedness, public health agencies, but also pharmaceutical companies, because from our perspective, when vaccine is being wasted, that's kind of lost revenue, or what you don't have to invest in increasing vaccine capacity. So we target all of them to just make sure that these are stakeholders essentially, and they would essentially be our targets. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Wendy, did you want to chime in on that question?
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna call Rachel, Brennan, and Jackie onto the hot seat, because I think we have a question that's kind of would love to hear from each of you. How does a company make themselves more attractive to your programs? What are you looking for, either in that initial application that they've validated a piece of data, how they come across, and through the interview stages? So anything that can give us some insight into how they can differentiate themselves. So Rachel, why don't you kind of kick us off?
Sure, happy to. Thanks, Robin. So I think the best piece of advice I can give to applicants, I think, for our program into Blue Knight, and potentially for other programs as well, particularly those that are sort of posted through the federal government, is make sure you're applying to that specific opportunity. We sort of can tell if you're submitting a very general application that's not tailored to what we are specifically looking for. So the more specific and relevant you can be, that may be data, that may be future applications. We do look at opportunities and companies coming in along all stages of development. If you are too early for Blue Knight now, it's an opportunity maybe to get some feedback and hear about at what point getting, what other data should you come back to us. So if you are, there's no harm in submitting something early. You may just get some helpful feedback from us that tells you when to come back. And we like to re-engage with folks over time. But I would say be relevant, be specific in your application, and show us whatever non-confidential data you're willing to share. So for Blue Knight, at least our application is a non-confidential application, just like the overall JLabs one. But we do like to dig into the science. One of those first pieces that we look for is scientific alignment, both for Johnson & Johnson and for BARDA. So whatever data you have that's non-confidential, I would encourage you to share it, at least on our side. That's something that we look for very quickly. Maybe I'll pass it over to Jackie.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rachel. I think for our end, it's definitely a little bit different. So the GB2 MedTech program, we work with companies that are developing medical devices that are in the digital health space. So that could be digital therapeutics, digital diagnostics, software as a service in healthcare. And then we also work with biotech companies. Because of that large breadth of companies that we tend to work with, I can't really say that, we are truly experts in every single field that we're going to get applications from. So digging into the science is probably not something we do to the same extent as perhaps the folks at Blue Knight. For our application, I would say just take the time to answer the questions in a robust way, not that you have to write an essay, but, be concise, but show us that you actually understand the space that you're looking to bring your technology to. If we're asking about competition and you write, we don't have any competitors, we're the only ones building this technology, that's probably not the right answer, right? We want to know that you actually understand the space that you're playing in. And then the other thing is your team. We tend to work with early stage companies that really are, sometimes just building their first prototype. They don't have a lot of data. We like to help some of those founders, get them going. And so in those cases, really one thing that is going to definitely play in your favor is the strength of the founder, the background of the team and how they complement each other. So, don't take for granted what your background is and where you're coming from. Brennan, maybe you can take it over.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jackie. I think both Rachel and Jackie have made a lot of great comments. I think for me, I really look at the science, but also the business. So in terms of the science, what unmet need is this really fulfilling? And what is the impact that this is going to have on the world? And then also to think about the business side is, have they thought about this? Do they have the expertise on their team to also bring this concept to the next stages? And have they really thought about the timeline? Have they thought about everything that's going to go into bringing this concept to market? And I'd also like to turn it over to my colleague, Richard, to see if he had any thoughts around this as well.
Thanks, Brendan. Just to add on to all the great points made already, I think that perseverance is another thing. Sathya touched on this earlier, that he was applying 3 times to BARDA to be successful. So, using the application as a framework and matching your technology, but also thinking that no today does not mean no tomorrow. We see a lot of great innovators across the board. We'd love to help them all. And, we hope over time we can do. So just, keep on applying and keep persevering with your technology, because it is a journey.
Thanks for that, Richard. Brennan, Jackie, Rachel, kind of getting your perspective from the accelerators. So we're almost at time, and I definitely want to share with folks how to connect with our founders and a few reminders. But I'll open it up. Any final kind of words of wisdom from Wendy, Sathya, or Gautam? As folks are kind of pursuing this. What they should kind of look out for, how to kind of leverage some of the resources we talked about, or any just kind of general advice as people think about taking that step.
I'd like to say, like Richard said, perseverance is the key. No today does not mean no tomorrow. It took me a couple of times to apply to different programs before I got in. And each time, each application was a learning process for me on how to really present bTECH, the House and Smart Patch, in a way that really highlighted it and showcased it, but also demonstrated that there is a solid business around it as well. So I took each opportunity when it was a no to grow from it, to get a yes that is still helping me to grow to my next yes. So, don't think small, don't think too early, don't think I don't have what it takes. Just get out there and apply.
Thanks for that. Go ahead, Sathya.
Yeah, I think definitely Wendy has been great with her advices. I mean, what really helped us is always trying to approach it in persistence and perseverance and more importantly, passion, right? Every entrepreneur has the passion today to achieve things, but how long will you go depends on how much effort you're going to take. For us, we leveraged the conferences or accelerator programs. We leveraged LinkedIn. I mean, sometimes I email or cold call people via LinkedIn, and then most people are willing to help. I mean, it's if you if you wanted to at least achieve. I'm sure, for example, Rachel or Brennan or Jackie are always available to answer any questions when somebody sends an email. So for us, what we really think is prepare your, and focus on what accelerators or what programs within BARDA is going to be helpful to the stage of the company and stage of the opportunity that is, and apply towards that, because most people get disappointed when they apply for something that is totally unrelated, but they just somehow forcefully put in their technology into that requirement or their proposal. So also, I'm sure you guys will be providing information, but please feel free to reach out to us, and we're really looking forward to helping each and every one of you in some way.
Yep, Gautam, bring us home with a nice word of wisdom. Yeah.
Yes, great points here. There's much easier ways to earn a livelihood than being an entrepreneur, I'll tell you that much. But I think it's if you don't share the passion and the commitment and what it would take to kind of see through the company's mission, nobody else will, right? So if you don't see it, nobody else will. And I think that would show in all of your meetings and things like that. Also, I think something I personally feel I think would be very helpful is, be open-minded about, maybe the path less traveled is the one that you need to travel, So I feel like, it's not going to be a straight line. There's going to be zigs and zags, but the zigs and zags as well may get you to the finish line. So I wish everyone the best, but please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you all for kind of putting this program together.
Yep. Well, thank you all. Really, really appreciate it from all the representatives and the founders, Wendy, Sathya, Gautam. It's just always fun to kind of pick your brains and hear about you and wish you all success. So this is how you can contact them. You saw it in chat as well. And also some of the earlier announcements we made about all of these amazing programs, including our startup studio. If you want to take that 0 to 1 leap, we have opportunities for you here on the screen, whether it's through GB2, connecting with Blue Knight, or finding out more about M2D2. So thanks, everybody. Hope you had a great lunch and fireside with us today. Stay tuned for more. We'll be seeing you hopefully in April for our next iteration. But for now, have an awesome rest of the day. And thank you again to all of our speakers.